Our connectionalism can be a resource. Our connectionalism can be a means of coping more creatively with all that we have to deal with. The more that we try to do it alone in our own little silos, the harder it will be. And the more that we lean into our relationships with one another, the more we can find encouragement, creativity, and purpose. I think the brighter our future will be. I want a bright future for United Methodism, and the fact that you're here tells me that you want that as well. So that's our prayer, that's our hope, that we'll spend this afternoon learning from one another about our gifts, our strategies. It's not a time of bragging, although if you don't blow your own horn, nobody else will. But it's a time of discovery and affirming one another. We will go by the order on this sheet, and we're planning for about 5 minutes each. So if you go a little over, that's okay, but if you go a lot over, that's not okay. And if I have to gong you, I will. So we're delighted that you're here. I'd like us to share a word of prayer, and then I'll invite our superintendent. Oh, another word on the presentations. If you would be sure to use this microphone as you talk, and stay on the red carpet. That will make sure that you are properly focused by the camera, and we are live streaming it. So, is there anything else I didn't share that I should have? Then would you pray with me? Oh God, we come together today as your servants, each called to a different particular parish, but to congregations that are connected and that give one another life and encouragement. Bless us now with your presence, that we might perceive new possibilities and awaken to them. Amen. Amen. Well, I'd invite you to share with us. May I sit with you?
So that 5 minute applies to everyone? Because he told me that I can preach about 35 minutes. No. Good afternoon, church. Yeah, thank you for being here. As many of you know, I'll be freed at last in 2 months from this role after doing this work for 6 years. And today is one of the busiest days. I had just came from 2 Methodist churches in Framingham, our western region, First UMC and Wesley United Methodist Church. I had their merging conference at 9:30, and they have become a beacon of hope United Methodist Church. And this church, these 2 churches have talked about shared ministries over a decade. How can they live out their connectionalism? And they had encountered many challenges and failures, from little things and big things, institutional things, relational things. And then COVID hit. And actually because of COVID, they started to worship together in Zoom. And when they were discussing about coming back to in-person worship some 1.5 years ago, after COVID, they said, how could we go separate ways? And they came together and discerned a year journey to become one body. In doing so, they also did one remarkable thing, that they decided to sell one of their Wesley property and donate that proceed for our connection, providing a seed funding. It will be over $2 million, seed funding for our first Wesley Development Corporation that is starting. What a way to celebrate connectionalism. And this afternoon, we are here. During this Lent, I had a given opportunity to reflect upon one of the Jesus' final sayings that I've never actually reflected on. Sorry, I don't reflect all scriptures. Was the Jesus at the foot of the cross, Jesus telling his mother, "Mother, here is your son," about his beloved disciple. We don't know who that disciple is. And then to that disciple, "Son, here is your mother." And the scripture says, from that time on, this beloved disciple took Mother Mary into his home. I think that was the beginning of the church. Because at that moment, even Jesus needed to rely on the love of somebody else. There was nothing left at the foot of the cross. There's no power, no magic, no miracle, definitely no future at that time. And out of all the peoples and lives that Jesus touched, there were his mother, his aunt, and 2 other Marys, and this disciple. 5 left. And these were the 5 people I think are the only one who loved Jesus for Jesus. Not what Jesus might do, might be able to do, not all the promises. They all, nothing left but love among them. And from there, I think church began. Because I always wondered who would have gathered those people until Pentecost. That's a big 40+ days, if you think about it. I think those 5 people must have done it. Because they knew that it's love that makes a way. I think doing a ministry these days is not like after the empty tomb. It's more like at the foot of the cross. We've been managing decline. We have gone through the pandemic. It's not easy. Clergies are burnt out, friends. It's hard. Lay leaders. I started the ministry 26 years ago. My church council chair, lay leaders, and SPRC chairs 26 years ago, still a church leaders in that church. But as long as we have love and know that we can always depend on love, there are going to be God's tomorrow. And I think you are celebrating the gifts of ministry. That's the best gift that we have one another. As long as we have one another, we will have a love on which we can depend on. And for that love of God and love among United Methodists, thanks be to God.
Good afternoon. I'm a little shorter than you. I bid you grace and peace in the name of the Lord Jesus. And did you have 5 minutes? All right, well, I'm going to make it a little shorter, but for sure, I want to thank this wonderful Aldersgate Church for hosting us today. Pastor Rachel, thank you. What a wonderful party. I like the idea we get to eat first. This is good. Why don't we do that in church? It's wonderful. I just want to share Psalm 133 because it's just screaming at me this afternoon. Behold, how good and pleasant when brothers and sisters dwell in unity. It's like the precious oil on the head running down the beard on the beard of Aaron. It's like the dew of Hermon which falls on the mountain of Zion. For there the Lord has commanded the blessing, life forevermore. I love that psalm, except that part about the oil all over his coat. Get that Kleenexes, but I think it's very symbolic that oil is a sign of the Spirit. And lots of it, right? Lots of oil on Aaron's robe. It's also a sign of healing. We use healing oils to bring together hurts and physical and spiritual hurts. And then it calls for the dew that goes down on Hermon. And if you study archaeology over there in the Middle East, the dew is real important, right? It's kind of arid. But when you have dew, it just refreshes, living water, as it were. And indeed, when people are together in unity, you've got this healing, you've got this spiritual thing happening, and you've got the refreshing life. And it even says, there comes the blessing, life forevermore. And so as we celebrate our connection today, I just feel that we are bringing these words into fruition as I speak them, that we are embodying this unity of sisters and brothers in Christ as United Methodists, but as Christians. And the more we do this kind of stuff together, the more we're going to get more done, reach more people, get the word of God's love out to this world. So I just revel in this opportunity to be with you today. I thank God for each one of your ministries and the giftedness you bring. And as you work together and all that synergy starts happening, there's no telling what God's going to do with the New England Annual Conference. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. I'm Christian de la Rosa, and I serve full-time at Boston University School of Theology as Dean of Students and Faculty for Contextual Theology, but I serve part-time at First Community UMC in Medford. And so today we're going to share about one of our new ministries. It's called Casa Raíces Latinas. It's an intentional community for seminary students at the parsonage. And we want to take the opportunity also to thank laity from First Saugus United Methodist Church, East Saugus United Methodist Church, because they were the ones that helped us begin this ministry in 2016. Very thankful for that. Raíces Latinas is now in Medford, and it's basically a partnership between Boston University and the local congregation, but it's a ministry of the local congregation. It has three main components. One is housing, which is a crisis in Massachusetts, as you know. The other one is the opportunity for partnership between the seminary and the local congregation to bridge the gaps between practice and theory, between seminaries and local congregations. And the third one is the space for formation in practice of seminary students. So instead of telling you more, 1 minute each, they're going to share, and then we have Lucy, our music director, that is going to share another minute. So Claudia first.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia Alvarez. I am from Colombia, and this is my third year in the MD program at Boston University School of Theology. And for me, it's been a blessing to live in Raíces Latinas house for all the things Dr. De La Rosa already mentioned, but especially for me as a queer person that comes from a context where it's very difficult to be a faithful Christian and also someone who identifies proudly of being part of the queer community. That seems impossible. So the first thing I noticed when I got into Boston and when I was received by Dr. De La Rosa in the airport and she took me to the parsonage, the first thing I saw was this big rainbow flag in front of our church, and I knew I was home. And that was the first time I had the chance to serve in a church where they loved me by who I was, and who were as grateful as I was to have me there. So yeah, and also currently I'm coordinator of adult education at my church, so it's been a blessing to lead the Bible study. Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Romero. I'm from Peru, and I'm also in the third year in an MDiv program at the School of Theology in Boston University. I mean, for me, living in the house and the parsonage in Medford is a blessing. As international student, we have maybe less opportunities and less money. And so having the opportunity to live in this house with a Christian community in the church who support us, who pray for us, and also we can contribute in some way with our service, support with children, support with financial committee or other things. Also mean this mixture make a bless for all of us. And for me and for my family also, to have this space, secure, safe space, and share with other people from other countries in the middle of this or studies, or you know how sometimes it's a mess. We have finals, we have to write a lot of papers, but with this security, with this safe, to have a secure house, to have this secure space.
Hello everyone, I'm Ana Maria. I'm my first year of PhD, not at BU, but another university. I came to this ministry in 2018 with literally $400 in my pocket. So this was like a blessing that you cannot imagine. For some people, sometimes it's difficult to understand how powerful this ministry is, because not necessarily they know how currency works for countries like mine, but $400 was more than the minimum wage of 1 month. So that was like a lot of money for me, and thanks to this ministry, I was able to finish my master's, because I have like the company from the university, from the church, but I also had the opportunity to preach for the first times in English. I had the support of the community to thrive, to have food, to have company, to have like feedback for the type of ministry that I was doing. And I also have like great memories of organizing all my wedding in one of the houses and like having all the company from different people. So now I am the person I am, and now I'm doing my PhD, and now I am also in my ordination process thanks to this ministry. Thanks to this ministry, I started my ordination process. Thanks to this ministry, I right now where I am. So you cannot imagine how impactful this is for people like me, whose first language is not English and we don't have money.
Lucy is our music director, and she's going to say something very brief on behalf of the congregation.
Soon to be retired music director. I've been a member of that church since, well, I was confirmed in that church, and things come and go, and people live in the parsonage, then nobody lives in the parsonage. It was empty. This was the perfect solution to have students living there, and they've added so much to our worship services and our community as a whole. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. I want to close with a brief word from Dot Stimmer. She's the chair of our leadership team at the church. She wasn't able to be here, but she sent a little note that she wants us to read. She says, Casa Raíces Latinas has changed our small, dying church by bringing new life and purpose to our congregation. Our small church, with only a handful of people, wearing many hats to keep the place running, and looking after our facility and a small aging congregation now, has young, vibrant international students from BU School of Theology helping us to keep our doors open. We are able to stream our services to our aging members who cannot attend due to mobility or accessibility issues. We were connected globally to students around the world during the pandemic to share ideas and concerns that went beyond the reaches of our little congregations. We have young seminarians eager to preach to us and develop the skills associated with delivering a good sermon and accept feedback. They have shared their experiences and cultures and food. Don't even get me started on the wonderful food they have shared or introduced to us. It is truly a blessing that we are able to provide a large empty parsonage that is now filled with joyful sounds of young people endeavoring to ascertain their calling, except this week is so quiet with sounds of studying and paper writing. Again, the ministry is one that is very complementary. It's a place of practice for the students. It's a joy for Boston University School of Theology to partner with this. We now have, this was the first ministry intentional community. We now have Hilda Evans' house, which is part of Union, UMC. We have Bose's house, which is part of Winthrop. UMC, the parsonage, and there are 2 other parsonages that are coming on board at the end of the summer. So we'll have 5 parsonages that we be part of this ministry, and we're using the same model with support of Boston University. So we invite you to consider partnering with us on this ministry. You can definitely continue praying for all these students that are preparing for ministry, and they're all from all over the world. Hilda Evans' house is mainly has students from Africa. And so we try to provide mainly for the international students. You can organize and come and do a work day at one of the houses. We always need individuals to paint, to fix things. Also, you can donate to help with the needs of the houses or the needs of the students. You can donate. We created a scholarship that we make accessible for needs. And then you can come up with your own ideas. Once a month, we have a situation where students are invited to eat at a nice restaurant or at somebody's house. Meals are provided, and they meet with a faculty or with a clergy or a lay leader of a church. So you're invited to do that if you want to. And then come up with your own ideas, and you're welcome to join in this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Good Shepherd, if you'd be so kind.
They went to get food.
Yeah. You want to stand on the red carpet.
Separate them from their food. Okay, come on. All right. Good afternoon.
Yeah, live streaming. So
You got to stay at the mic.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this is only half of the people. They are still on the way. All right. So can we have the next church, because they're taking care of the
I think we need to stay in order because of the way the AVs are set up.
Oh, okay. All right. Come on.
Come on up.
all right. Why don't we sing?
Oh, yeah, we can sing first. All right.
Here I am, Lord,
Thank
verses
you so
1 and 3.
much. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our pastors, our Bishop Peggy, and the DSW. I am Joel Miller, the co-chair of SPRC at Good Shepherd United Methodist Church. I made this video clip to celebrate our ministry of Good Shepherd United Methodist Church. I hope that you will be blessed by the music and the pictures.
And this is how we usually end our worship, by singing either Let There Be Peace on Earth or Draw the circle. And they are still coming. That's why we are drawing the circle. Come on. Let's sing Draw the Circle, all right? Yeah. Draw the circle. 1, 2, 3. Draw the circle. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone. We'll stand side by side. Draw the circle, draw the circle, one more time. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Amen.
First United Methodist Church had a presentation planned, and it was going to be led by the director of the food drive, which is a wonderful ministry we'll tell you about in a minute. But she's having car trouble. She's not here. We learned about it about 3 minutes before this program started. So this is going to be extemporaneous. Real quickly, the food drive is a non-profit organization founded by one of our members in Melrose. And we have partnered with them to help them get their charter. And it's a program which does food rescue throughout the surrounding communities and uses the food to supply the local food pantries, as well as several soup kitchens, including in Malden and Chelsea, as well as it brings fresh vegetables to some of the senior apartments in the area. Our main relation with the program, we support all those programs and help gather food, but our main relationship with them is that we have members of our congregation who prepare meals, and the meals are frozen, and they're put in 2 freezers at our church. Then every Sunday, families come in and they collect meals for 3 evenings to feed themselves. So if they're a family of 5, they'll collect 15 meals. If they're a family of 2, they'll collect 6 meals. And we are been permanently, for about 19 to 20 families a week, we are supplying food for 3 nights, which means about 60 to 70 meals a week we're preparing as a church and freezing them. But not just as a church. The larger community of Melrose has been involved. We have people from all over the community who aren't connected to us any other way than this ministry, who are baking food, bringing the food to our church. We're putting them in our freezers and freezing them and distributing them. But I'm going to turn over to some of our members to talk about impressions of that ministry, because every Sunday we have members of our congregation who greet people in the community and distribute the food. So Alicia works a lot with it, so I'm going to give Alicia an opportunity to talk. I know we only have a few minutes, so.
5 minutes? 2 minutes?
5 minutes total, not for you.
2 minutes. I'm Alicia, and I've been a member of the First United Methodist Church since 1985. So, thank you. My husband and I moved after living in Melrose for 42 years. We moved to Groveland, Massachusetts. But every Sunday, almost every Sunday, my husband and I would drive to Melrose to join fellowship with the church members. It's been an experience. I've been involved with a lot of the volunteer work in a lot of the committees, and now I'm involved with the the feeding ministry in the Bread of Life, and then the feeding ministry in our own church. I'm one of the congregation members who we have some clients who really love mac and cheese. So I'm a mac and cheese person. we include hot dogs and vegetables in separate compartments. And then we ask people, we usually have a list of all the things people ask for, you know, what they want to have served. And on Sundays, between 11 and 12 o'clock after the service, we have volunteers who would distribute the food. They come inside and they pick their own food. And we have a program what we call AOK, which is the children's activity work. But there's a few kids there who come like on certain Sundays and they baked cookies, and the cookies go to the feeding ministry. So I'd say people who come to the feeding ministry are well-fed, we have nutritious food, and we have a complete dinner. I'm also involved with the Bread of Life in Malden. My husband and I usually volunteer to serve food. Our church is involved like every other month, second Thursday of the month, and we go to the First Baptist Church in Malden and prepare the food. And since COVID, we were not serving food inside the church, so people line outside and we give them the food. Should I say something about, we also get, thank you. That's 5 minutes.
Well, I know the clock's ticking, so 3 things here. AOK stands for Acts of Kindness, which is the youth, the children's program here. The second thing is, when I first heard about the food drive, I thought, well, that's nice. Someone's out collecting some food and giving it to folks. We're talking about hundreds of tons of food that they've collected. So it's quite an extraordinary thing that these folks have done. And the third thing I want to say is, when the guests come into our building to receive the food, I regard that as an invitation to us to remember who we are, to remember that we are called to serve. And that is a great reminder every Sunday. So I thank you.
Real quick, they reminded me of some things that I'll be real quick. One is that the food drive collects its food mainly from restaurants and grocery stores who have leftover food or food that would be thrown away. So, but the other thing is, dignity is the most important part of our program. So when people come in to collect the food to receive their meals, the food is lined up by category, and the people shop for their food. They choose what they want, as you would at any restaurant you go to or any grocery store you want to, because we want to give people autonomy, and some people may not like something, but they love the mac and cheese. We also have, and the other thing I want to say is that this ministry is a ministry which you can connect to. If you would like to do this in your church, the food drive would be glad to help you and connect you to it. If you need food rescue in your area, they'll be glad to help you for it. So if you'd like to do this ministry, let the church know, First UMC Melrose, and we will connect you with it. It's a lot of work, but it's easy work. I mean, you're making your own food. You just make 3 extra servings, put it in containers, bring it to the church. It's in the freezer. You make a difference.
Glenn Mortimer. I serve Wakefield, Linfield, UMC, and Wakefield, Mass. So a number of years ago, in this electronic age of people texting and emailing and so forth, we wanted to find a way to become more personal with folks, to connect with them on a more personal level rather than electronics. So I put it out to the folk and said, what can we come up with? And we came up with something that started as a card ministry. And we asked folks to donate greeting cards, thinking of you, get well, sympathy, birthday, anniversary. That ministry evolved into what we now call Love and Grace Ministries. And Love and Grace Ministries make sure that people feel connected to the church by not an electronic means, but by someone sitting down, handwriting a note in a card from the church that gets mailed to them. Everyone in our congregation, of which we have 14, who are 90 plus, receive one every other week all throughout the year. People who are ill, who are recovering, youth. You don't have to be a member of the church. If someone comes and says, I have a neighbor whose son is really struggling, and it would really be helpful for them to receive something personal, they will get one. Over the pandemic, this ministry grew because we couldn't connect, but we could. We could, send out a card where somebody held that physical card and then somebody else received it, right? Like Jesus gives love and we receive love. We send out love and grace so that people can receive love and grace. So I'll give you two quick examples. One is one of my parishioners who a couple of years ago passed away at the age of 98. When his son cleaned out his house, he came to my office with 2 boxes and they were full. He had saved every card that the church had sent him. And he said, you don't know, in the last years of his life, because he could not get to church, he was totally deaf, and couldn't hear, tried, but was difficult for him. But this connected him to his church family. The other one was a person who has never stepped foot in our church. It is the grandson of one of our parishioners who was in a rehab for substance misuse. And we sent them a card weekly for 6 months, and then every other week for the next year and a half. That card, that personal connection with people that they had never met, transformed that person's life. They went to rehab, they went into recovery, into a halfway house. They have been now 7 years, clean, sober, went back to school, received degrees in early childhood education. They now teach public school kindergarten. In the last 4 years, we have sent out between 800 and 1,000 cards a year. Most of all of our cards, we don't purchase them. They're donated by folks. The postage is donated, and people volunteer to write them out and send them out. It's an easy thing that we all can do as a church and as a community, to be personally in touch with people, to let them know how personally God loves them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Rachel Fisher. I'm the pastor here at Aldersgate, and what a house today. And what's singing? I know one of the goals of this event was just to hear all the voices singing together, and that's a great gift. I need to tell you something important. A lot more food came in the door since we've started, so please feel free to go back and circulate and pick it up because it's good. It's not just cookies. There's like food there now too. Aldersgate put together a video presentation of our free-for-all community breakfast.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Duggan, a member of Aldersgate United Methodist Church. I am so pleased to be part of the celebration of gifts, even though I am in northern England at this moment. Today, I am presenting an overview of our Free-for-All Breakfast, a powerful community outreach program completely run by volunteers from the church and the community. First, let me give you a bit of an overview and history. The breakfast is and always has been held on the second Saturday of each month, except for the months of July and August. For over 25 years prior to March of 2020, when the pandemic forced the church to shut the breakfast down, we could serve as many as 100 plus guests on a Saturday morning. The breakfast reached out and continues to do so to the residents of North Reading and its surrounding communities by providing a warm welcome at the front door, a hot meal, Saturday morning social interactions with members of the community beyond our doors, as well as our faith community. We are meeting a very important need, which is in-person social interaction, especially after being isolated for so long. So, let's fast forward to the summer of 2022. When the church decided it was time, after a 2-year hiatus, to take a leap of faith and begin serving the free-for-all breakfast beginning in September. And it really was a leap of faith for 2 reasons. First, would we be able to obtain enough volunteers to pull this off? And even if we did, would anyone come to the breakfast, since many people were concerned, and rightfully so, about attending large gatherings and the risk of contracting COVID. But we forged forward and served our first breakfast in September. As I stated prior, our breakfast is run completely by church and community volunteers, which includes youth, all the way up to our oldest members of the church. Volunteers from our local congregational church in North Reading have stepped in to fill volunteer gaps when needed, which is such a gift. We have volunteers who come in the week leading up to the breakfast who clean and sanitize the kitchen. Others set up tables along with chairs for each guest. Once that is completed, volunteers arrive and set up each place setting. So we are always looking for anyone who would like to make a difference by sharing their time and their talents. We have also been extremely fortunate to have North Reading High School juniors and seniors volunteer as a way to meet their school community service requirements prior to graduation. And the blessing surrounding these young people volunteering is not only having those extra workers, but the interaction with our church members, both young and old. That intergenerational component has been such a gift. I myself have witnessed these students having a conversation and working alongside our church volunteers and having wonderful conversations with our breakfast guests. Often, I have stopped to notice how our student volunteers and our church youth have made someone's Saturday morning richer just by connecting and serving those at our breakfast. One high school volunteer shared how much he enjoyed connecting with an older guest who shared stories about his life, how wonderful it was for both of them. I would be amiss if I did not recognize how local businesses have supported the breakfast over the years, and they continue to do so. This allows the church to financially afford continuing this important community outreach. So, since our first breakfast last September, The number of people attending has continued to grow, with our April breakfast serving 101 guests, and we would love to have any of you here today join us for breakfast. When you take a step back and look at the work it takes to make a breakfast such as this happen, it is a clear sign that when our faith community works together, we can make a difference in this world, one breakfast at a time. Thank you.
Hi, friends. I'm Pastor Jamie Michaels from Old South United Methodist Church, and Ruth and John are going to tell you about an important ministry that we've been undergoing for the last 5 years.
I want to tell you about this wonderful ecumenical ministry, actually, that we started back in 2017, I believe it was, and it all started with the Catholic Church, St. Agnes in Reading, and they were listening to Pope Francis one day, and they heard him say, express the gospel in concrete terms and take in a family of refugees. So we decided to do that, and there are Catholic Church, the United Methodist Church, the Congregational Church, the Church of the Nazarene, and the Unitarian Church are all working together on this for the last 5 years. And I was involved in the planning committee, and the planning committee was actually began back in August 2017, and we had all these different committees: the housing committee, the pre-arrival committee, the post-arrival committee, the hospitality, and the publicity, and the liaison group that connected with all the churches. And so we had this guy from St. Agnes, Ron, who was very organized and enthusiastic, and he was great at leading us. And he's gone on to do ministry in Saugus, too. But anyway, we got some training from the Catholic Charities, and finally the day of arrival came, and I have a PowerPoint somewhere. Are you seeing it? And we have this group called Reading Power, which stands for People Organized with Refugees. Okay. There it is, okay. And we thought we were going to get this group, these refugees from Syria. And we were very surprised to find out they came from Ethiopia. And when I heard that, I called John, because he did some ministry in Ethiopia at one time, and he got so excited. And one of the most surprising things we found was that they had to wait in a refugee camp in Kenya for 12 years before they got to come here. Anyway, we finally went to the airport. Okay, sorry. I think you can go on to the next slide. I'm not very organized, sorry. This is our group that met them at the airport, at Logan Airport. And everyone had written these little cards to them, and there were 3 gentlemen, a father, Gudetta, and his son, Desta, and his nephew, Badasso. So we met them and greeted them at the airport, and all our committees were functioning. We had the apartment ready for them to move into with all the stuff that we had collected from different places. And Desta and Badasso quickly found jobs. Desta got a job at the deli at the Stop and Shop, and Badasso at a shoe factory in Woburn. And we got him a bicycle so he could ride to work. I think you can go on to the next slide. And one day, we took Gudetta, the father, out to dinner at the Ethiopian restaurant in Malden. And he had a great time with us. And anyway, these are the 3 fellows, Gudetta is on the right, he's the father, and his son is in the middle, Desta, and the third one is Badasso, and he's the nephew. Okay, go on to the next slide. And Desta just got his citizenship papers at Faneuil Hall last week. And unfortunately, Gudetta, who moved to Oregon a couple of years ago, he passed away. But he, despite being blind, was able to get his citizenship also before he died. And next slide, please. This is Desta's, naturalization. Okay, and this is Badasso, the nephew. He ended up moving to Nebraska, and he's now working in a meatpacking factory there, and he also got his citizenship papers. And why don't you take it from there, John? I'm talking too much.
I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Ethiopia, 1966 to 1968, and I liked the country. It's very very interesting country, and when I heard that Ethiopians were coming, naturally I jumped on the bandwagon, and I taught some English to Gudetta, who didn't know any English when he came, and then he had the eye impairment, and so we would go on walks, and I'd show him buildings and things, and we'd start with objects and the nouns, and I didn't know something, I'd try to translate it into Amharic, which he would know, and so we kind of compared the languages then, and I was able to bring back some of the Amharic words. I had a phrase book and everything. And another thing that I did, I took them out to Newburyport, and we had a day out there. And the other thing was we had a vacation Bible school coming up, so I had these limbs that were sumac limbs, and I had them come to the house, and we cut off the knobs off of those, so that and sanded them so that the kids could paint them as little sticks to, walking sticks. And so he really enjoyed getting out and away from his tiny apartment and doing something constructive. It's a great.
So you'll hear in a minute from East Saugus how that ministry continued, and we continued to welcome 2 other families as a part of that program. And now Catholic Charities has asked us to bring a Ukrainian refugee family in, which is what our project is working on currently. If you're in the area and you're interested in participating in that work, you can come find me or visit us at oldsouthumc.org.
Do you guys want to finish?
Good afternoon. I am Pastor Pat O'Dore from the East Saugus United Methodist Church, and these are my parishioners. In the fall of 2021, with our parsonage empty, our church council voted to authorize housing an Afghan refugee family. So on December 29, 2021, our family arrived. A mother, father, 5 kids, and unbeknownst to us, a baby on the way. All they had with them when they got out of the car was a backpack each. I'll never forget the look on the mother's face when they sat on the couch in the living room after their long journey. She looked terrified. When I went to bed that night, I just remember praying that they would feel safe. I couldn't imagine what they had gone through, but I could tell from their expressions that they had endured something terrible. The next morning when I woke up, I was really surprised to hear nothing. There was absolutely no noise coming from upstairs, which was unbelievable considering that there were 5 kids from ages 2 to 10 up there. As I got out of bed, I wondered what had happened. I was really concerned. But soon after I opened my door, I started to hear the little hushed voices. Again, I knew that only some unimaginable situation could have led to their ability to completely silence 5 kids, 10 and under. As a quarter-time pastor with a small, mostly elderly congregation, I soon became overwhelmed with the needs of this family. My mother, who was a member of Reading Power, who you've just heard about, suggested that I contact them and ask them for help. I did that, and this led to the formation of Saugus Welcomes, an ecumenical group of volunteers from churches in Reading, Malden, including Good Shepherd United Methodist Church, Melrose, and Saugus, who have come together to provide support for the family.
When the family first arrived in the U.S., the father was the only one who spoke any English, and his English was limited at best. The mother had never had any education in Afghanistan, and in fact, she was illiterate in her own language. The Saugus Welcomes volunteers provided ESL lessons for the parents and coached the kids as well. They also provide transportation for medical and dental appointments and for buying groceries every week. They have navigated the system, like spending hours on the phone with Mass Health and the Department of Transitional Assistance. Despite all the red tape, they were able to get the children registered in the Saugus public school system, even though they had none of the required paperwork. Last summer, they were successful in getting bikes donated for all of the kids, as well as a bike for the father, who now rides it back and forth to work 5 days a week at Target in Saugus. They were with the mother when she delivered her baby last July. They were able to ensure that the kids got lots of presents at Christmas time, even though they're not Christian. They provided the father with driving lessons, enabling him to get a Massachusetts driver's license. Currently, the group is working very hard to find a used van for the family with funds that we have raised, along with contributions from the family itself. And we're trying to help the father find a better job, one that will enable him to support his family and move him along the path to eventual independence. Most importantly, Saugus Welcomes has provided a loving and nurturing community for this family that has had to leave almost everything behind when they fled their homeland.
As difficult as it has been for the family, this family is blessed to have affordable housing and an entire community of volunteers helping them. Other refugees have no support and no safety net. Our goal is to help the family become independent and self-sustainable. But the future will be a challenge for this family, even with our help. We have a video to show with the children and some of the volunteers. For safety reasons, we can't show the parents because their family in Afghanistan is still in hiding from the Taliban. Thank you.
I have a presentation too. You got it? Well, we bring the presentation up. I'm Jen Benelli. I'm just a regular old parent from Wilmington United Methodist Church. I have 3 young kids. Professionally, I do market research to uncover consumer insights, help brands drive strategies based on those insights, which you'll see a little bit. I know nothing about Christian education, despite being the chair of the Christian Ed Committee, or teaching kids in general. I'm going to focus today talking about something we did this year called Service Sunday that's really been successful in bringing kids back to the church and Sunday school. But before I talk about the event itself, I just wanted to take a moment to underscore how important it has been to have a Christian Ed Committee that is inclusive of teachers today that are knowledgeable about what kids, how they like to learn, what activities they like to do, our lay leaders who bring the history of the traditions that have been successful, and then the wonderful ministers helping us make it all happen, Peter, and our youth minister, Jameson Rudd. I mean, they really are so important to this all. Next slide, please. So what is Service Sunday? It's really simple. It's just one Sunday school lesson each month dedicated to service. We took service at a very broad level. You have some examples here, whether it's service to our earth, whether it's service to our congregation, or whether it's service kind of more broadly in traditional food pantries and homeless shelters. Next slide. But it's really more than just that one day a month. It's a program, and I think the magic is really in the before, the activity, and after. So before, we always send out a calendar providing notice well in advance of the day so families can plan. We produce this calendar. I send it out to the, in addition to being in our normal church outreach. I send it out to the families individually, and they have a notice of when this is going to happen for this month, and they have we're seeding the date for the next month's service Sunday. There's, of course, the activity itself, which we always try to make a very engaging, hands-on activity that are the ones that the kids love the most. And then after, we tend to have a recap that serves to affirm and extend the day's mission. And I actually want to play you this video, if we can do that, that was posted on Facebook. And thank you to the person who does this, because I have no clue how to. We are very fortunate to have the gift in our congregation of somebody who, A, knows how the media that kids like to do, and the technology of how to produce it. Next slide. So I know I'm going to go maybe a little long, but I wanted to spend a moment talking a little bit about why we feel that's working, because I think that's really what makes it scalable and something that each of you can take away, whether it be to your Sunday school or really any other areas of ministry. So the notice in advance of that day so family can plan. I mean, with this whole program, we wanted to think about what are the barriers and acknowledge those the best we could, right? So this notice accounts for the current reality is that most families are not signing up for Sunday school and going every week. That's just not a commitment families today are able to make. So we recognized that and gave them a calendar of what's happening. It really speaks to that need for families to plan, that their calendars gets booked up really fast. And this gives them the opportunity to plan around church and Sunday school because they know what's happening that week. It also not only physically allows them to plan, but it shifts that mindset of something that people can do any Sunday. I can go any Sunday there's a special day and it can't miss. And it just shifts that mindset a little bit, encouraging them to go at that day. Their favorite activities, while usually we try to tie it to the curriculum that's happening, just the nature of it makes it something that's super easy to just jump in anytime. Come that one Sunday, bring your friend that one Sunday, and you're not like you missed out what was happening before or after. It produces, we really focused on this needs to be fun, so we get rid of that maybe mindset that Sunday school could be boring. We gather a large group of people by having that key moment. It's kind of combating that idea, well, no one else is going. Because we have this moment, everybody is coming on these days, or more people. Finally, you know, it really focuses on the part of our faith and ministry that is most relevant and relatable to Gen Z, right? Community service. I mean, that is what the kids are talking about these days. I am not a kid, unfortunately, although I might be younger in this room. And then finally, that reaffirmation. So, you know, it's important for our Sunday school class in the sense that it kind of taps into social media culture, right? That affirmation that they get, right? Did it ever happen unless I like had a video of it or posted it online? They have that moment to reflect and see that fun like they do for everything else. It stills some of this FOMO or fear of missing out, being able to see what happens. And, you know, getting that peek of what other fun happens for those that don't. It has a connection to the congregation, larger congregation, in that they can be tapped into the fun and the energy of Sunday school. And then finally, that reaffirmation demonstrates to the community, right? It's a video posted online that anyone from the community can see that religion is relevant and fun, and Sunday school has a place even today. And then the last slide, sorry, I know we're only a little long, is I wanted to just give an opportunity to say continue the sharing. You guys are sharing today wonderful opportunities. I already have the ideas going, but if there's something that your congregation has done that's a 45-minute during Sunday school, really fun service activity, we would love to hear about it. We can only cook food so many times. I mean, eventually that'll get old, right? And then we're happy to share any of the details, whether it's recipes that we have that are doable in 45 minutes with a bunch of young kids, or you know, our market basket food pantry shopping trip the kids loved, but it was some work to figure out like the pricing and the lists and whatnot. We'd be happy to share that as well. So I think I have my contact here, or you know, if you reach out to Wilmington United Methodist Church, they'll find me, don't worry.
Thanks. Nice job, thank you. We have 15 minutes and 5 more churches. So we're going to suspend singing any more hymns. We are going to suspend singing any more hymns. And Woburn, you're up.
No, good. You could suspend me in favor of singing a hymn. My name's Bill Hoke. I'm the pastor at the Woburn United Methodist Church. I am with
Karen Manna.
Karen's our lay leader. And the gift we bring to our community is the sort of welcome and openness of our church. As a practical matter, 1/2 of the people living in Woburn have a key to our church. So they come in and they have meetings there. But just as a sort of religious and a sort of a cultural matter, people know that if they need a place to meet, if they need a place for food, if an AA group needs to meet somewhere, that they can come and feel welcome. A very concrete outreach thing that we did was we started a Thursday night dinner church, first Thursday of the month. And the goal was, as much as we like our regular church people, the goal was to have that dinner church reach beyond our walls and bring more people in. So the dinner church is once a month, and it's about 1/3, church regulars, about 1/3 people who come to our church for a free dinner program that happens on another night, and about 1/3 of just community people who want to check out their faith, think about what it means to be in church, but doesn't necessarily want to come on a Sunday morning. And so we welcome them, we encourage them, and people just know we are, we say we're sort of God's home in the center of Woburn, and people can feel free to come and be welcome there. Do you want to? Sure. Do you want to say something about the Black Lives Matter, like your daughter?
Yeah.
Or whatever?
Yeah, okay. I think what's so special about our church is that we're resilient. I am lay leader again. It's been a while. I've been in the church for about 40 years. During that time, he probably wants the rest of his bottle, I'm sorry. During that time, I think we've had 7 or 8 pastoral changes, a lot of interims in between. Each one was a learning experience, but we're a progressive church. Way back when, 40 years ago, Bill Flug introduced us to what it would be like to support gun reform. 40 years ago. And then Peter came and introduced us to what it would be like to be a reconciling congregation. Yu Yun came and she taught us what it would be like to look outside the box and throw that spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. And we're still throwing that spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. Pastor Bill came, he walks his talk, teaches us to do good, seek justice. Our church is involved in every social justice aspect that's going on in our community and outside our community. Everybody knows our church. They know where it is. They know they can come. They can be comfortable. They can be accepted for who they are. And 40 years ago when I first came and we started the passing of the peace, there were those that wouldn't even cross over because they didn't want to shake hands with some. Now we're sitting down, we're breaking bread with people that come from beautiful homes. Some are homeless. Different social, economical aspects of their lives are different from ours. Gay, straight, white, black. I mean, we're all sitting down together and we're breaking bread together. We're just ordinary people, but we have extraordinary power. My daughter and our community were supportive in the Black Lives Matter. Everything you can possibly imagine, we are involved in. So I really celebrate about our church. And I have to take 2 minutes, Peter, I'm really sorry, but that is my foster son. I am a foster parent. I need to tell you that we have a critical need for foster homes in our area. We need the United Methodist churches and the pastors and the people to get behind this. This is our wheelhouse, folks. This is what we do. We do good. We seek justice. Jesus said, let the little children come. They came. They're here. But they have no place to go. We need foster homes. So see this face, because I am going to be coming to your church. I am going to be pushing this, and we need to own this. Thank you.
I'm Ann Robertson, pastor of Crawford Memorial United Methodist Church in Winchester. And when I put out the call for people to call me and tell me what you'd like me to say, what would you like to celebrate at this gathering? And I got 3 very specific phone calls. And 2 of them were celebrating Bill Hulk and the Woburn Church. So whoever said, you know, you have to toot your own horn, I'm going to toot Bill for a minute here. One is the Dwelling Place, their feeding ministry on Monday nights, and Crawford participates in that every fourth Monday night and cooks and brings food to those who need it. Now it's been sort of take as you go instead of sit down with people, but that has been an important part of ministry for Winchester, but we have the opportunity to do that because of Bill's ministry and whoever started that, at Woburn. And the second one came from a call from a resident at New Horizons, the assisted living facility. And she said, our Easter service was amazing. Bill Hulk came out after his own services Easter morning, and he took his Easter and came out to us and basically did the whole service again for us at New Horizons. And she was so very, very grateful. They had a great turnout. She said there were Protestants and Catholics and everybody just wanting to have a real Easter service, and Bill had gone out and provided that. And so thank you. Thank you for those things. And the third thing I wanted to lift up was how important we have found it, and so I want to encourage you too, in getting the word out in all of the various ways that we can get our services and our ministries out. And one of those is the live stream, and that somebody lifted up actually as a celebration in church this morning was one of our older members who has had some physical difficulties and wasn't able to be in church for a while, and she said, I'm so grateful for the live stream that I was able to still really be here. And she was back this morning. Others are not there regularly on the live stream. I sort of never know who they're going to be. But one of the things someone unrelated to the church said to me this past week about other churches is he had heard someone say that in their church they were kind of intentionally neglecting the audio and stuff on their live stream and not working to make that a good quality, because then people would say, oh, I'm going to go to church instead. And I went, ah! No. And the ministry for people who can't come, they may have physical disabilities, they may have little children running around that by the time they've corralled them and brought them to church, they don't even want to hear what's going on in church. But we really work hard to make our live stream the best online service that it can be, as well as we work to make worship in the sanctuary the best it can be. And I'm here to tell you that we've been growing, we've been taking in new members, and to date, every new member who has come to us and has joined the church has come through the live stream. They have, and unlike, I'm used to in other churches, people would check out our website, they would listen to sermons or something before they physically came. This is a different level. People now call me up. I've never heard their names before. I have no idea who they are. And, hi, I'm so-and-so. I want to come talk to you because I want to join the church. It's like, oh, well, hi. Well, yes, I've been with you on the live stream for 3 months, for 6 months, whatever. I have no idea who they are. We stream to both YouTube and Facebook. But they go directly, not even directly from live stream to visiting to joining, they are now going directly from the live stream to, hey, I want to join your church. Do not neglect. I know it's new, and believe me, I'm kept up nights with all the difficulties of the technology. I have 2 high school kids who are running it, and one of them graduates in June, and I'm losing sleep. So I know it's difficult, but it is so worth it, and we try very hard to, in what we say and do on Sunday mornings, to include the people on the live stream. And we begin I'm assuming that's the camera straight up. What we do is begin every worship service by greeting the people on the live stream. And on the count of 3, I have people turn around and wave at the camera and say, hello, live stream, or happy Easter, live stream, or whatever. So I'm going to invite you to turn toward a camera, and on the count of 3, say hello, live stream, because whoever that is that's watching through our little boxes 1, 2, 3. Hello, live stream. They are us. Church is all of us. And there are beloved children of God who are with us in that format that couldn't be here. So I encourage you in that ministry. It's been critically important for us and a joy. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Shin, serving at Wesley United Methodist Church in Medford. And I usually stand in front of a mic, and my daughter Julie is on a piano bench. But we decided to switch our role as a way of contributing our other gifts to this special event of a celebration of gifts. So she will present our gifts and ministries, and along with our dreams and visions.
Hello everyone, my name is Julie, and hello everyone. As my dad mentioned, I do play the piano for our church. And thanks to this gathering, it has given us the opportunity to think about all the ministries and gifts that we've been active in our church. And I'm glad not only to share it with everyone today, but to also hear other churches and to gather some ideas that we could try implementing in our own church. At our church, we actually started Open Hands Mission back in 2014, and we were consistent up until the pandemic, unfortunately. And we have not been able to go back, but kind of due to that, we've been working on a joint ministry effort with 5 of our local churches in the Medford and Somerville area. We are hoping to plan another or to get back into Open Hands, but with more volunteers and more members. We also are active in the micro pantry. I'm not sure if there are any around in your community, but there are small boxes and they're filled with non-perishable goods. And our church in particular have gathered many donations during Thanksgiving. And not only that, members of our community actually also donate as well by just going to the micro pantry and putting in items themselves. And luckily, we've also seen a lot of recipients take items from that as well, so it's very encouraging. Another ministry that we do at our church is actually English class. We do have a Korean and English service provided at our church. However, there are also non-church members who come to learn English as it is their secondary language, and it may be difficult for them to learn it on their own or, just in their own time. And another great joy, I feel like I'm just listing all these things. Another great joy is having seminary students. I remember the First Church also spoke up about supporting students as international students especially have difficulty finding housing and just getting support. And so we've had the joy of supporting 10 seminary students so far in the past 10 years. And we have all loved and enjoyed supporting them through their contextual education as well as their ordination process. And currently we have a Chinese student that we are attending church with, who's attending church with us. And we envision them to start the first Chinese UMC in New England area. We're very hopeful. And lastly, we have also had the opportunity to support a Afghan refugee family in Medford. And along with all of the other gifts and ministries, it has been a great opportunity to serve our community and also our congregation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. About micro pantry ministry, and we were the third one, but we now have 17 micro pantry food stands in Medford area. So if you are interested in it, it's just a stand, like book stand, but instead of book, we put in our non-perishable food items in it. That is very well working. We have many people who leave the food and take the food. Okay, so and if you need it, then we can build a stand as well for you. So please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The family UMC is not with us today, so Kimberly, if you would be so kind as to share with us and then dismiss us with a blessing.
So I'm in the military, so I'll be strict with the time.
Right.
It's all good. Amen. Hallelujah. Good morning or good afternoon. It's been a long day. Many of us preached in various settings, but good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kimberly Hall, and I want to thank Pastor Bill from Woburn United Methodist Church. He's been a wonderful friend since I've arrived and colleague in ministry. So thank you, Pastor Bill, for sharing about this event, because it's always good to be in connection, and I'm proud to be a United Methodist. And amen. I am a member of the Baltimore-Washington Conference of the United Methodist Church. And back in 1999, before she was elected as the Episcopal leader, bishop, I knew Pastor Peggy. So 1999 was, and then who knew that she would be in this area? As before coming into the military, I served in the local parish for 10 years. And I felt a call within a call, and so actually late in life, I took that step of faith, and I entered actually active duty military service as a chaplain. I was in the Army for 6.5 years, and then I saw the light and became an Air Force chaplain. And I've been all over the world. Truly, John Wesley said, the world is my parish, and I'm living that because I have the fortunate pleasure of being a community with airmen, Space Force, they're called guardians, soldiers, sailors, persons from various ethnicities. That is who I get to serve. That is who I get to counsel, pastor to, and the like. And so it is a joy to serve. Actually, currently I'm serving at Hanscom Air Force Base. I'm the senior ranking chaplain at Hanscom Air Force Base. I have a wonderful chaplain team where we try to provide care for everyone. You know, in the military, it's a pluralistic community. Even though I identify as a Christian, you know, I am to care for those who are Muslim, Jewish, and the like. And so again, it is a joy to be able to serve. I thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to stand here today. I'm going to wrap it up, but I just want to let you know that I love the opportunity to be in community within this conference itself, and so I thank you all for all that you do and the ways in which you serve. Let's stand for the benediction. Awesome. We who are disciples of a resurrected Lord, I pray God's abundant blessings upon you. I pray that God's generous blessings will fall upon you, that you will go forth into the world to let your light so shine, that men and women will see your good works and glorify our wonderful Lord who is in heaven. Go with the peace of Christ upon you, with the love of Christ upon you, with the joy of Christ upon you. Amen.
Friends, please take food with you as you go. It sounds like we're going to sing. Are we singing? Yes. And then afterwards, if the clergy could get up here for a picture, that would just be an honor. Thank you.
Amen.